Joe Biden's campaign is unfortunately for him increasingly going over like a lead balloon. Disastrous results in Iowa, coming in fourth after polling second in Iowa. He's down to fourth place in the polls for the New Hampshire primary, which is tomorrow. And then over the weekend, Joe Biden called a female voter a dog-faced pony soldier. Last week, we talked about Joe Biden's strange, sort of overly aggressive behavior with some male voters, poking them in the chest, telling them to go vote for somebody else. This time it's a female voter. Check out this video. She asks about the Iowa results. Biden asks if she's ever participated in a caucus, and she says yes, and he calls her dog-faced.
So you're arguably the candidate with the greatest advantage in this race. You've been the vice president, weren't burdened down by the impeachment trials. In the participation. So how do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
It's a good question. Number one, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
I guess this is apparently some kind of joke making fun of the caucus process, which, believe me, the caucus process deserves plenty of ridicule. But this is not a good look. This is actually not even the first time Joe Biden has used this term. He did it at a rally in 2018 for Senator Heidi Heitkamp. And he referred to the line as being from a John Wayne movie. Check it out. This seems to be the origin of Biden using this phrase.
As my brother, who loves to use lines from movies, a John Wayne movie, there's a line in the movie, a John Wayne movie, where the Indian chief turns to John Wayne and says, "This is a lion, dog-faced pony soldier." Well, let me tell you, these guys are amazing.
Now, a bunch of people looked up that line. They tried to find that line in a John Wayne movie, and they weren't able to. So, as I've said before, I would vote for Joe Biden in a second over Donald Trump if Biden is the nominee. But we can't just write this stuff off as generational. Bernie Sanders is 14 months older than Joe Biden, and he's not constantly saying this type of stuff. You could say, well, culturally, Bernie's from a Jewish New York family. It's a different world. They might as well be from different planets altogether culturally compared to what Biden grew up around. Okay, Elizabeth Warren is only 7 years younger than Biden, and she also isn't saying this stuff. And she's from Oklahoma and lived in Texas for a while, whatever. Calling women dog-faced is just bad, even if it's part of whatever Joe Biden thinks a dog-faced pony soldier refers to from a John Wayne movie that nobody is able to find. I am up for believing that this was a joke and simply one that nobody understood, and there was no ill intention behind it. I won't even argue with you. I'm still asking, how do you make it to the convention if you're calling voters dog-faced when they ask reasonable questions like, what the hell happened to your results in Iowa? And then you tell them to vote for somebody else when they come up and say, hey, will you get us off fossil fuels or whatever the case may be? We're seeing Joe Biden's campaign implode on a daily basis, ending up fourth in Iowa after polling second, going from polling first in New Hampshire to polling fourth as of right now, with voting tomorrow. And the way things have gone, I wouldn't be shocked to see him end up fifth with Klobuchar in fourth place in New Hampshire. It's early, we don't know. Unclear in Nevada and South Carolina what's going on because we have infrequent polling there. He was doing well there, but who knows what's going on now. Falling from first to second behind Bernie in California. Barely holding a lead in Texas, where he had been leading for a long time. I just don't see how he can hold it together through the DNC, never mind through a general election campaign against Donald Trump. If he's the nominee, I will vote for him against Trump, and I will have no doubt that he is the better option, Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Increasingly, it's feeling unlikely given his performance, but it's important not to underestimate the power of some Super Tuesday wins just 3 weeks from now. And of course, the DNC is going to have to decide, do they keep pushing Biden? Have they switched to Buttigieg? Will they go to Bloomberg if Bloomberg does well on Super Tuesday, where he is focusing essentially all of his resources? Let me know what you make about all of this. I do want to hear from you. We will take a quick break, and so much more coming up today, including an analysis of the value-added tax. We're going to dig into the value-added tax right after this short break. One of our sponsors today is a game called Lawgivers, a turn-based political simulation game for PC, iOS, and Android. If you've ever wanted to start a political party or run for office or shape the destiny of our country, here's your chance. I've been having a ton of fun with the game. You do get to experience legislative democracy up close, and the dynamics of the game are really impressive. You make election promises to your constituents. It's up to you whether you keep those promises when you're in office. All of the laws you pass affect your country's happiness and safety, healthcare, environment. You can abolish laws that are already in place. You can ratify the Constitution. You decide if you want the government to be a healthy democracy or authoritarian tyranny. You can be corrupt and take bribes. Political assassinations are part of the game. It's nuts, actually. It's a really good time. It doesn't get old because you'll never play it the same way twice. This is not some cheesy free-to-play game. It's very clear that a lot of time went into the development. It has very positive reviews on Steam and in the app stores, 4.5 stars or higher on all platforms. Go to davidpakman.com/game, which is where you can watch the trailer, download the game for Steam, iOS, and Android. That's davidpakman.com/game.